Ethan had already walked down the aisle twice before he ever crossed paths with April. Neither marriage lasted beyond a year. Both ex-wives found something, or someone, they deemed better, packed up, and disappeared without a backward glance. Strangely enough, Ethan wasn't the problem. He was tall, decently attractive, and sharper than most of the guys clocking in beside him. The issue. He had never left the shadow of his parents' footsteps, still working the same blue-collar job they had retired from at the old Riverside manufacturing plant. It was stable, sure. Dependable? Absolutely. But exciting? Not in the slightest. When Ethan first saw April in the clinic waiting room, small frame, soft golden hair, baggy blue scrubs hanging off her petite figure, he was so smitten he probably dented the linoleum floor with how hard he fell. April had been working as a nurse since she finished community college, and from that moment, Ethan turned on the charm with every trick in the book. He sent flowers to the front desk, timed his coffee breaks to match hers, and left handwritten notes that smelled faintly like the grease from his tools. But April wasn't moved. She turned down every gesture, every invitation. In her mind, Ethan was too average. She wanted someone who could elevate her life, not keep her stuck in neutral. Still, her mother's voice echoed in the back of her mind, always reminding her, "Sweetheart, sometimes the right man isn't the flashiest one, he's the one who shows up." So, one soggy Friday afternoon, April gave in and agreed to one date. Months later, she accepted his proposal, mostly so she could prove to her friends, via glossy wedding photos, that she wasn't the last one in their group chat still unattached. Years passed. When she went on maternity leave after having their first child, finances got tight. Raising a baby wasn't cheap, and Ethan's factory paycheck never seemed to stretch far enough. He wouldn't even consider finding a better-paying job. He couldn't understand why she was so stressed. Each argument about money only widened the rift between them. Then came the unexpected second pregnancy. It hit April like a brick. She locked herself in a supply closet at her new clinic job, a position a friend had helped her land, and sobbed for days. Losing that job now would be devastating. But the real gut punch? This baby didn't belong to Ethan. The father was Dr. Mason Collins, the charming neurologist every nurse secretly admired. Married, naturally, with 2 sweet kids and no intention of trading in his wedding ring. April knew the rules. If she tried to push him, he'd cut her off and maybe even get her fired. That would mean no income, no home, and 2 children to raise alone. She couldn't let that happen. So, she stayed quiet. Neither man had a clue. At home, Ethan noticed how sick and tired she seemed. April brushed it off, blaming exhausting double shifts. And Ethan, bless him, believed her without question. In truth, April found a twisted thrill in the double life. Mason would slip her envelopes of cash for no reason. Most days, they'd lock the door to his office and break in the desk like it was their private getaway. Then, each evening, she'd walk through the front door, toss her purse aside, and step into Ethan's waiting arms. She'd watch him build Lego castles with their son, all while carrying another man's child. She knew this charade couldn't last forever. Her belly began to grow. One afternoon, after a quick rendezvous in Mason's office, he calmly buttoned his shirt, gave her a sly look, and with a mix of sarcasm and curiosity asked, "So, when were you planning to tell me you're pregnant?" April feigned confusion. He raised an eyebrow, not buying it. "Mine? Or his?" he asked bluntly. She didn't answer, only offered a vague shrug. Mason didn't press. He made himself clear, if the baby was his, he still wasn't leaving his wife. But he would make sure she kept her position at the clinic. That evening, April finally broke the news to Ethan. He was ecstatic, overjoyed at the thought of expanding their family. Not once did he question why she'd waited so long to tell him. But that night, while Ethan snored peacefully beside her, April lay frozen beneath the ceiling fan, staring up as the blades turned. All she could think about was the moment of truth, when delivery day would force her secret into the open. Mason hadn't pulled back, even when her belly started to show and her walk turned into a wobble. Whispers flew through the clinic halls like wildfire. Everyone knew exactly whose office she kept vanishing into. One afternoon, Mason casually slid a neat stack of $100 bills across his desk. "After the baby's born, get a DNA test. Call me. I'll take care of it." His tone was cold, detached, and somehow, that's what April found so magnetic about him. She had fallen for his calm, clinical approach, his ability to separate emotion from everything else. But 2 months into her maternity leave, Mason vanished. He stopped responding completely. Said he was busy with family vacations, baseball games, or just life in general. April's messages went unread. Her calls went unanswered. Now she was back in Ethan's house. The money was nearly gone. Tension filled every corner of their home like mildew creeping into drywall. Some mornings, she stood by the front door and fantasized about disappearing for good. Labor struck suddenly, in the middle of the night. At the hospital, as nurses rushed her into the delivery room, April quietly told the attending physician she wanted a paternity test after the birth. No explanations. Just the request. The doctor glanced at her wedding ring, arched an eyebrow, and nodded once. When the baby, a little girl, was placed on April's chest, she immediately saw the truth staring back at her. That nose. It was Mason's. Overwhelmed, she broke down in uncontrollable sobs. A nurse rushed over, mistaking the hysteria for postpartum complications. The test confirmed what April already knew. Ethan wasn't the father. But Ethan? He was completely unaware. He beamed with joy, tears streaming down his face as he called friends and relatives, thanking April for giving him a daughter. The guilt was unbearable. She wanted to disappear into the hospital bed, into the earth, anything to escape. While still in the maternity ward, Ethan noticed the baby's deeper skin tone but brushed it off. Newborns, he reasoned, could come out looking all sorts of ways. But once they got home and he unwrapped the pink blanket, the reality hit like a thunderbolt. Thick, dark hair. Strong, defined eyebrows. Features that didn't match anyone on either side of their families. In that moment, a chill ran through Ethan like lightning. He turned to April. Her eyes were bloodshot and brimming with tears, and they told the whole story before she even opened her mouth. She told him everything. The affair. The lies. The test. Every ugly truth spilled out. Ethan's world shattered. That night, as the sun went down, he walked out of the house without a word. He didn't return until the following evening. When he did, he didn't yell, didn't argue. He simply placed divorce papers on the kitchen table and turned away. His terms were clear. Their son, the older child, would stay with him. No negotiation. April didn't protest. She had no money, no stability, and no strength left to fight. She knew she couldn't support 2 children on her own. Mason, just like he'd warned her, he wanted no part of it. He refused to acknowledge the baby. Every now and then, he sent her a couple $100 through Venmo, barely enough to cover gas for doctor visits. Shamed and broke, April moved into her mother's cramped condo. Her mom wasn't exactly thrilled but wouldn't kick her grandchild out into the street, no matter how angry she was. April had wrecked everything. Her own future, Ethan's, and 2 children who never asked to be caught in the crossfire. So, that's the full story. A brutal, tangled mess. Now it's your turn. Drop your take in the comments. Whose side are you on? And if you want more jaw-dropping tales of betrayal and heartbreak, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Catch you in the next one.